Hello. Really excited to have you here today, Privilege from Cruise Finance. So really excited to cover a lot of the cool things that you guys are building. So I think ourselves and our community already have a bunch of questions. So would love to dive straight into it. Obviously, Cruise is currently live on Impossible Finance's Launchpad. So as always, you guys know what to do to participate. This time, I think we're excited because obviously you guys are a product that I think kind of touch on quite a few aspects of DeFi. And obviously, in the current market conditions, sometimes I think a lot of users don't really realize what to do when markets maybe is not clear which direction things may go. So I think this might be a really good kind of place to start would be to talk a little bit about how you and the rest of the team started to think about building Cruise Finance.
Hey, sure. Thanks for having me here, guys. So yeah, to answer your question, this goes back in late 2021 when Samarth, my co-founder, and uh, we were dabbling around multiple DeFi projects, NFTs. This mid 2021, and we entered the Chainlink Fall Hackathon with the thought that okay, let's try uh, tackle the volatility of cryptocurrency, like offer some sort of protection or maybe like hedge cryptocurrencies, the volatility of cryptocurrencies. I mean, we obviously didn't know how difficult it would be, but we had already been in the finance space, doing some trading on derivatives and um, contributing to open source projects. So we delved into the hackathon with the idea of hedging volatility cryptocurrencies, and we were in one of the good top applicants there in the hackathon, uh, and we were then picked up by Gravity X Capital in early 2022, and that's how we sort of started the idea of Cruise Finance. And I mean, all up until the hackathon, it was just like a simple MVP project, minimum docs, almost nothing like on Google Docs and shit. And then we sort of moved out of that into a more organized system and started writing white papers, researching a lot of white papers. And yeah, Gravity X definitely helped us kick off the initial phase of Cruise, helped us raise the seed round as well. So that is when we sort of started Cruise Finance, and it sort of transitioned from tackling volatility into becoming like a structured products, to sort of be the first one-stop solution for cryptocurrency holders, from like amateur simple cryptocurrency holders to proper DeFi regions who uh, trade a lot or are comfortable around using MetaMask and browser type wallets. So yeah, that's how we started Cruise and transitioned into what it is now.
Awesome. Yeah, I think this kind of ties a bit because I think a lot of users, they generally kind of try to react to some of the trends that they see in the space. And obviously, in market conditions when it's not super clear, what might happen. Of course, ETH maybe has rallied a bit in the last week or so with people talking about macro
Yeah.
factors like ETFs and so on and so forth. How do you think Cruise Finance gives us an opportunity to be able to, as regular users, have access to structured products that provide some volatility protected yield opportunities?
Yeah. So I think one of the first things we realized, that was acting as a barrier for first-time users, cryptocurrency holders, like amateur holders as well, is the experience of the tool. It ends up being too heavy on using financial terms and being centered around how proper financial users would end up using it. But cryptocurrencies are now becoming a proper investment opportunity, just as I mean, I wouldn't say they are similar to how mutual funds and all the other treasury bonds work, but still, people these days they do try to invest a small chunk of their income into cryptocurrencies just as a long-term investment. So, uh, as how that takes a rocket ship in the next few years. Realistic yield opportunities, especially on blue chips like Ethereum and Bitcoin, was necessary, but it had to be created in a way that would welcome any type of user, be it just a amateur cryptocurrency holder who's just checked out a few DeFi apps, from those LP providers and those liquidity, traders who constantly put liquidity into protocols, gain from the yield, make profits. With the ones whose day-to-day job involves dabbling around DeFi apps. So uh, we sort of try to perfection the user experience to an extent that it welcomes even the most amateur users. That was the first thing we had to um, look out for, and try to be the one-stop solution for crypto holders.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think we'll jump into some kind of more focused questions around some of the tokenomics, given that I think we have quite a few users that wanted to understand a bit of how the business of building these types of easier to use products for the users, how can that derive value to your token? So could you share a little bit more about Cruize, Cruize, and how the kind of staking works inside the Cruize token mechanisms?
Yeah, sure. So the good thing is we're building different types of vaults for assets using exotic options like new unique strategies. So we want to welcome users of different types of volumes and give them a higher opportunity to gain yield. That is where the Cruise token comes in hand. Right now we have a simple tokenomics, and the use cases of the Cruise token represents benefits such as boosted yields on real yields of ETH and BTC. Then we'll be coming up with some exclusive vaults, which have certain strategies that might have a smaller risk but a higher return profile, and it's for those who have an appetite to take smaller risks to gain a higher yield, but have a benefit and have the exclusivity to the vault to figure out certain measurements, units that they want to set up for their strategy. So these will soon be launched into some of our institution grade vaults. um, so that is what one of the benefits is. Then obviously governance, and there are certain voting parameters that will come around our partnered vaults. So we have some partnered vaults that will be coming up live, such as the ones with Ramses, and maybe even with a few more dexes like Kronos once we figure out a partnership with them. And so some of these vaults, they'll have some exclusive deals for liquidity providers in those dexes themselves, also to those who hold our native token, with rewards in our native token, as well as some a major chunk of the revenue share of the entire protocol. So that is what encapsulates the use case of Cruise token.
That's super interesting. I'd love to definitely chat more on how that can be useful in giving users opportunities to participate with more kind of features around strategies around LSDs. I think right
Yeah.
now a lot of users obviously stake and participate in different proof of stake ecosystems to earn yield, but maybe they actually haven't seen all of the possible opportunities that could be available there. So definitely would be very interested to see more details on that. I think one of the vaults that you guys already have is a Twin Peaks vault, which I think is also super interesting. But I think still a lot of users maybe still are not so familiar with how
Yeah.
a vault like this work. How about you could share maybe a little bit more about how this type of strategy works and how it gives users these opportunities for these lower risk yields?
Sure. Yeah. So this Twin Peak strategy is one of those exotic option strategies that are currently trending in the traditional finance markets with stocks and other types of options, and slowly coming into crypto as well. So these Twin Peaks uh, is a type of option where there are two barriers, um, and what it technically means is we buy an option uh, at a cheaper cost using a base APY we generate from your asset. So if a user deposits one Ethereum into our vaults, we generate a base APY as small as possible, because across DeFi, the ecosystem of DeFi, generating any type of APY on ETH BTC is near impossible. They're measly rates, but those rates are enough for us to buy smaller sized exotic options that can actually give a much higher APY, a return on your asset investment, on your assets. So what we do is we buy these exotic options, and what this Twin Peaks option is, there are two barriers. Let's say Ethereum is at $100 right now. So we buy a Twin Peak option in which one peak or one barrier is at $106, and the other one is at $94. So $6 plus and minus on both sides. So what this means is, let's say the expiration of the option is 1 week. So within the week, if the price of Ethereum does not cross any of the barriers, it doesn't go greater than 106 or less than 94. So that means the option is running in our favor. And at the end of the week, or whenever the option is about to expire, we exercise the right to use the option. And at that time, if Ethereum is at $104, we get a really good uh, payoff from the option. And if it's even if it's at $97 or $95, we get a really good payoff, as it's closer to the first barrier. So this is what the Twin Peak option technically is. It's a paired option. It's a pair of a put and a call option. And it just these two options simply represent barriers, and it simply means that if the underlying asset doesn't cross any of these barriers within the period of the expiration, then you're all set for a really good payoff for the week. And if you look at some of our track record with the back testing results, our yearly record of generating a stable APY is pretty good. We were able to generate up to 7% APY in the year 2022, which was during one of the most volatile periods, 2021 and 2022, of course. And we were able to generate up to 7% APY using these strategies. Now, the possibility of generating APYs, the highest possibility is up to 15, even 20%. But based on our back testing, we did realize that uh, Ethereum and Bitcoin, they're so volatile, they get knocked out. And by that, I mean they cross these barriers multiple times within the week. And even if it crosses once, the option is simply nullified. So you don't lose your asset. It's just that we don't get any APY for that period of the week. So you get back your asset along with a small measly base APY that we were able to generate and save for you. So that is how the capital is 100% protected, and there is a very good chance of getting a higher APY if the option isn't knocked out. So just based on 2022, looking at the volatility chart, we were knocked out about 50%, 50% of the times in the entire year. So over a period of 1 year, we were able to generate up to 7% APY on Ethereum. If it were, let's say, not knocked out even once, the APY could have been close to 14-15%, based on where it lies, closer to where it is closer to the barrier at the time of the expiration. So yeah, just to sum up, it's a paired option. Each acts as a barrier, and we just look at where the asset is lying throughout the week, and at the end, when we exercise the option. So that is what the Twin Peak option technically is.
Very cool. I think this is obviously a lot more complicated than what normal users might trade
Yeah,
by themselves. This is where obviously having a vault definitely does lower the barriers to
yeah,
entry for
exactly.
users.
Yeah,
I also think that there's quite a bit of interesting pieces to that there, where you're only taking and risking the interest yield, but not
yeah,
risking the principal. So I think these principal protected yields are actually really, really important for regular users to have
yeah.
at their fingertips. So that's awesome. I think you guys are going to be deploying this on multiple chains. So I think maybe you could share a little bit about some of your kind of go-to-market strategy with regards to some of the market makers, ecosystem partners, chains like Arbitrum and Polygon that you guys have been speaking with, to make sure that the users know a little bit more about how you guys plan to scale the product.
Right. Yes. So we started off with Arbitrum, obviously, because it was crossing transactions more than Ethereum chain the last few months. So we were able to make partners such as Ramses and a few more dexes, and open up these paired vaults. So the first go-to-market strategy for us was to implement this service or the strategy on existing, let's say, liquidity pools or vaults. So while we did open up our Genesis vault to let users simply come and deposit, our next phase is to allow this service to be activated on liquidity pools. So that is the next thing that will come up. So with the Ramsey's liquidity pools, these are extremely volatile. They have impermanent loss. So what we can do is allow users to simply deposit their LP tokens into our vaults, the LP tokens of the liquidity pool on Ramsey's, and we simply take off the fees, a portion of the fee that is generated every week for your LP token, and we use that fee to buy these exotic options that will generate a pretty higher APY over a period of 1 week. And so we do this every single week. So this might make up for some of the impermanent loss. Because we'll be generating a much higher APY using our exotic options strategy. So that is one of our go-to-market strategies. The second, making ecosystem partners. So I think the next chain we'll be launching on is Avalanche, and Avalanche is coming up with an institution-only blockchain network, and we'll be soon launching on their network as well. So this institution-grade blockchain is where every transaction, every address that is transacting will have to be KYC'd, so probably using Polygon ID or Quadrata KYC is what they'll use. So that'll give a more visibility to any credit risk, if there is any, to all the users who are depositing assets into our vaults on the Avalanche network, on the new institution network. So this network will obviously help us pool for a fish for a lot of institution users, and hopefully give us a lot more volume. So that's our ecosystem partner. Obviously we are very closely in ties with the Arbitrum ecosystem team, and if you are aware of a new EVM chain that's coming up called Shardium, we are hoping to launch there as well soon, and move on to Binance, hopefully. So that's our go to market. And the third strategy, while we don't really depend on it a lot, it's just KOL marketing and some ambassadorship programs. But we do want to try to keep our focus on the first two strategies, because they help in providing a really good service to users that are already present on certain uh, liquidity pools and blockchains. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, super clear. I think we only have one more question left, which I think you already started to hint at with some of the upcoming collaborations with ecosystem partners. But do you
Yeah.
have any other key milestones or upcoming updates that you would like to share with the community as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Much closer to the IDO and the token listing, we will try to get our staking platform live as well for users who will be participating in our IDOs to come and park their Cruize tokens, and benefit from the token minting process, and the fee generation, the revenue distributions that we have. Our tokenomics are obviously live, and with every vault that we'll make live, a big chunk of the revenue of each vault will be distributed to token holders who stake in our platform. So the staking platform will be made live soon. Yeah, I think that's the only thing I left out. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that's all the questions we have from our side. Thanks so much for covering all of these really interesting insights. Personally, I'm super bullish on option vaults and more ways to lower barriers to entry for more financial products to be available for every user out there. To learn more about any of the things that you guys are kind of trying to revamp on the user experience of these more advanced products, definitely go check out Cruize.finance. And also, of course, if you haven't staked yet, you're always ready to be able to stake over at have.impossible.finance. So yeah, cool. Thank you so much, Prithviraj. It's been a pleasure. I think I'll have to dive back into some more of your docs to read more on this myself, because I'm quite interested in seeing more of the different ways that we can have some principal
Awesome.
protected opportunities for all of our users. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thanks.